halls of Montezuma, to the shores of Tripoli, we find our country.
Hello and welcome to today's Battletech review. Today we're going to be looking at the Daishi, or what most people nowadays call the Dire Wolf. I'm not sure why they used some weird pseudo-Japanese for the name of it when they were met by Aus Kurita, but still they were some of the first to see that thing in action. Even though most of the invading clans did have a few dire wolves, it was really popularized and put into production originally by Clan Smoke Jaguar, which is a little bit weird with its name. It's got a weird history that we're going to get into at least a little bit. And it is one of the far scarier omni-mechs that came in during the invasion. So let's get into it. The Direwolf was the biggest omni-mech built during the time frame of Operation Revival and the preparation to Operation Revival. It's a little bit surprising that no omni-mech fell into that particular weight range before then, but even if you look at some of the biggest omni-mechs ever built, the next 100-tonner omni-mech that at least I'm able to find is the Iron Cheetah, which came out in 3054, which is basically a direwolf with the hood taken off. Later on, you've got those big Republican tripods, you've got a few other things coming out, but really it's not a common weight range for omni-mechs. And even though I'm pretty sure someone must have experimented with it before, I can't find anything, and even my clan contacts can't give me any specifics on another 100-tonner omni-mech. This is not to say that the clanners did not have 100-tonner mechs. You had old SLDF machines that were refit to new standards, and one of the first mechs that they designed as the clans was the Imp, which was built as a totem mech for all of the clans. Really, we know the Imp mostly because it was brought to the Inner Sphere by Jamie Wolf as a weird flex, I guess, on having a brand new machine that nobody had ever seen. And, well, I don't remember any clanners using the Imp in any major fights that I know of. There were other mechs, though, in that category, the Stone Rhino being one, which is a very decent mech once you get the kinks worked out of it, and the Storm Giant, which is a big, big boy, and that can deal quite a bit of damage. Most of those were conceptualized before the Omni Revolution, so those were still standard battle mechs with just as advanced technology as they could. But even there, I mean, the Stone Rhino is not that fancy of a mech in a way. You also have the Bane / the Kraken. That one we'll talk about more at length later. That's an even odder little duck. Right at the cusp of the 31st century, Clan Ghostbear released the Kodiak, which was still a standard battle mech, because all the omni-mech functions of it were brought towards the Executioner instead. The Direwolf was originally conceptualized by the good people at Clan Wolf, and they were ready to use it in the trials to make sure that they wouldn't be invading the Inner Sphere. The gamble didn't quite pay off, however, because Clan Smoke Jaguar decided to, in their wisdom, challenge them for the production specs and production rights, winning them in a trial that might have been rigged from the start. I don't have all the details on that one. Direwolves did start walking off production line on Untris in 3010, and it tells you here that it was going to be a mech that was going to be used in a very large capacity in upcoming fights. The Wolves decided to rush the production of the machine on Stronamecti, and it started coming out in 1319, allowing the machine to be spread to other clans through various Isorla, so battlefield salvage more or less, and gifts. During Operation Revival, it was available to most invading clans, terrifying the Inner Sphere with its sheer power, and terrifying the other clans because, well, you could use it in trials with the others in order to get whatever you wanted. The Wardens of Clan Wolf also gave the rights for production to the Wolf's Dragoon in order for them to be built on Outreach, and quite a few became available later on to the rightful heirs to the lords and ladies of the Inner Sphere. This is a bit of an odd situation, especially with Untris basically having no more resources extensively quickly, and Stronamecti being, well, the capital of the clans at large, meanings that even though you were going to be building them there, a lot of people would have eyes on them. This meant that the direwolf was probably not one of the most common machine of the time, but it was produced in a few different places, which is different than some of the other Omni-mechs out there. With the loss of Huntress and the Wars of Reaving, the direwolf production basically collapsed. The Omer clans didn't want to have anything to do with the Desgra machine, so the production line for the direwolf were basically closed, at least that's what we understand, and there was no production line in the inner sphere anymore because, well, the factories on Outreach were kind of nuked from orbit by the Geodes. So there wasn't much you could do. There were spare parts being built, but that was about it. Production did restart on the planet's Farstad by the Clan El Ors because they want big machines, and they've put down quite a bit of money in order to get older machines back into production. I don't think it's a bad thing. We still have direwolves floating around because parts were machined in a bunch of places, but this means that the parts are going to be more available for the people who need them. Overall, the direwolf is not that advanced of a battle mech once you start digging into it. Of course, it's an Omni-mech, so there's that makes it quite fancy. But in terms of advanced equipment, you don't have any endosteel, you don't have any ferrofibrous, you don't have anything super weird outside of a 300 XL engine from Starfire/Vlar, which gives it a top speed of 54 kilometers per hour, which is perfectly reasonable for a mech its size. I mean, most assault mechs in its category should be going around that speed. Something that'd be a little bit faster would probably require too big of an engine and you'd start losing on other things. I mean, to get a bigger top speed, you'd probably need a 400 engine, which is what you have in the Arctic Cheetah. It's got 15 built-in double heat sinks, which is 3 more than what the engine can actually hold, so that does take up a little bit of room in the inside. But whatever you do, you will need those heat sinks, so it's always a good thing. You get 19 tons of standard plates, so quite a bit of armor. You're not going to be able to be stopped by, a stiff breeze. Like some other clan mechs of its category, you do have to be careful when dealing with these kinds of machines. Overall, you get 50.5 tons of pod space for weapons and equipment, linked to a superior long-range targeting computer, which can be very useful depending on the weapons that you set up on this thing. With that much pod space, well, you're going to get quite a few different configurations, and we're going to go through most of the standard ones and a few more common specialized ones that became popular over the years. We'll start with the Prime configuration, obviously, which is a real monster capable of engaging targets at every range. In the longest bracket, you get 2 times 2, so 2 on each arm, ER Large Laser, which has the destructive power of a PPC, or at least the standard inner sphere one, but even longer range. At closer range, you do have a 10 rack of LRM on the shoulder. It's there for active presence, I guess. And a pair of rapid-fire 5-class autocannons. It's great because the autocannons really don't generate that much heat, so you can shoot those ER large lasers and the autocannons generally in tandem. Once things get a little bit closer, you get 4 2 times 2 medium pulse laser, which gives you highly accurate destructive power. You get 22 double heat sinks, so you are able to sink the heat that's generated by most of your weapons in each bracket, giving you a very long-term engagement capability. Clan El Ors' newest kit for the direwolf is the Tango configuration, which they started producing in 3149. That's what comes out of their factories, and of course you can reset it as ever you want. The main guns are a pair of AG-20s fed by 6 tons of reload with a supporting Streak 10 rack of LRM. At closer range, you get 4 ER medium lasers and 4 medium pulse lasers, meaning that you've got devastating in-fighting capabilities, but you do sacrifice a little bit on range compared to the original Prime. To boost mobility, they add a supercharger on the engine, giving you a top speed of 64 kilometers per hour. It's not terrible, but it can blow your engine, so you do have to be a little bit careful with it. You also have a light active probe to help you with electronic warfare, which, might not be the biggest ability of Clan El Ors. They've been having issues with people playing around, let's say, and maybe they should keep those things on their mechs rather than taking them off to add weapons or ammo. But what if you want to bring your direwolf underwater? Well, you do have uniform configuration for that. To make it fairly tough and reliable, you get 3 UMUs to give you a speed of 36 kilometers per hour underwater, which is reasonable for a mech that size. And you get an MASS in the cockpit to protect the pilot from flooding if the head gets damaged. And you get Argel in order to protect all the other internals on the machine. For weapons, you get 36 tubes of short-range torpedoes, 3x6x2, in the torso in order to give you crazy short-range punch. At longer range, you get a pair of ERPPCs and 4 medium pulse lasers, all guided by a targeting computer, which is all very reasonable. But this is another one of those uniform configuration which you can't just, remove the UMU and replace with jump jets, because there's all the other bits that you have for underwater combat on it. Sierra configuration, on the other hand, is meant for city fighting and other cramped spaces. You start that by putting 3 jump jets on there, giving you a jump range of 90 meters, which is usually good, but don't try to jump your direwolf on top of a building. That usually won't end well. Your main gun is an LB-20 class autocannon fed by 4 tons of reload, which is pretty darn good, and a large pulse laser in the other arm for more precision fire. You get 5 medium pulse lasers spread between the torsos and the head, and it's backed by 2 4 tubes of Streak SRM. All in all, you're going to be able to get into close quarter fights and blow out just about anything that you see, while also running decently cool. Not very cool, but cool enough that you can use most of your weapons in a standard barrage. Against infantry, you have a pair of machine guns, which is pretty useful in city fighting. You're going to be using them. And the right leg features a pair of anti-personnel pods, which is a bit of a waste. You could probably have used that for extra ammo for the LBX or something or other. A-pods are not a thing that I'm a huge fan of. Now that we've done the really specialized one, let's go with some of the more common configuration. Bravo configuration is set up as a sniper using a quartet of Ultra AC2s. That's not a whole lot of firepower, but it's a lot of quantity, so you're going to be able to deal quite a few nasty blows to tanks and VTOLs, but against other mechs, it's not the best weapons out there. For actual damage, you do get a pair of ERPPCs in the left arm, so you've got something that can kill those big armored targets. At even closer range, you get a 10 class LBX autocannon and a pair of medium pulse lasers, meaning that, well, this is truly a vehicle hunter. You even have a nice little ER small laser to keep your engine warm in the center torso center line. This one can be useful if everything starts getting blown to bits. Alpha configuration is a big mech hunter, and it is specialized in taking things down with extreme prejudice. Your main gun is a Gauss rifle fed by 3 tons of reload, which should be enough for most mid-length engagements, and the other arm features a full set of 3 large pulse lasers for more precision fire at closer range. Even closer, you get a pair of Streak 6-tube SRM, which will take advantage of all the holes you've created with those bigger guns, while 21 double heat sinks keep you running decently cool. You get an extra anti-missile system to defend you against the enemy barrage, which is pretty good overall. Delta configuration is also a big gun hunter, but this one specializes in the biggest gun in the clan arsenal, with a Hyper Assault Gauss 40 mounted in each arm. You get 10 tons of reloads for that, which means that you're going to be able to stay in the fight, well, about as long as that Gauss rifle earlier, because shells for Hyper Assault Gauss 40 are rather massive. At closer range, you get a pair of center torso mounted medium pulse laser and a Streak 6-tube SRM in order to exploit holes that you would have created at longer range. The pilot can stay warm thanks to an ER small laser that's mounted directly over the cockpit. It's an odd choice, but you've got that extra aft ton that you need to put somewhere. This one is going to be rather scary, and it's going to be able to take down just about any planes that would fly over it. Echo configuration is an entirely sensible variant for mid-range engagement. You get 17 double heatsink, which is quite a bit and sensible enough. Case 2 to protect your ammo, which is very smart, and a Watchdog CEWS in order to keep you secure and protect you against enemy electronics. Your main weapon are a pair of LB-10X autocannon with 4 tons of reload, each backed by 4 medium pulse laser. The shoulder has that 10 rack of a streak LRM as well for sensible long-range engagement. There's nothing weird, there's nothing odd about this particular machine. Maybe replace the LB-10X with AG-20s every once in a while. I mean, they're both very good guns, and the AG-20 is better at taking down planes, but the LB-10X is also good at taking down planes. So it is entirely sensible and very, very nice. Hotel configuration, however, is a little bit less sensible, using 2 heavy large lasers in order to qualify properly as an H configuration. I mean, you can see it with improved heavy large lasers. It really depends on who sells it to you. You get massive mid-range engagement power from that, but you get also a pair of Gauss rifles on there, so you can take out things at longer range as needed. Against infantry, you get a nose-mounted flamer, which is pretty nice and going to be useful also to take out shrub and other plants that would be in your way. And you get a medium pulse laser to give you just a tiny little bit more mid-range punch. You get 20 double heat sinks and a massive targeting computer in order to make sure that those heavy large lasers and Gauss rifle hit their targets, which is very smart. Charlie configuration is a late clan invasion design that uses some of the new weapons of the time. Each arm mounts an ERPPC along with a 6 tube of ATM, which are only fed by 2 tons of reload, so you're going to have to choose what kind of missiles you're carrying. As an extra, you get 4 medium pulse lasers, and all the energy weapons that are linked to it are tied to a targeting computer. To round things up, you get a one-shot Streak SRM4 in a chin mount and an ECM in order to protect you. To top everything off, you still get enough room to stick in jump jets so you can jump 90 meters in that particular design, making it a decent mobile sniper. X-ray configuration is built around a targeting computer, even though it still packs a fairly large amount of missiles. You get a 15 rack LRM and a 4 tube of SRM with Artemis guidance, along with a chin-mounted Streak 2 tubes of SRM. So, I mean, you do get all of those missiles with advanced guidance as well. You also have a 6 tube of ATM with 3 tons of ammo, so in this case, you don't have to choose what ammo you're bringing. For direct fire weapon, you get a Ultra 10 class autocannon, an LB5X, both in the same arm, which is a little bit odd, along with a large pulse laser, an heavy medium laser, and 2 ER micro lasers. It's a little bit all over the place. I've seen it used just once or twice, but I do think it works okay. The direwolves built on Outreach usually came with the same kind of configuration, which later became known as the W configuration. You start with 2 big guns, namely a Gauss rifle in the left arm and an Ultra AC-20 in the right torso. You get 4 tons of Gauss shot and 2 tons of Ultra shot, but you can move things around, put it 3-3 or however you would want. Since it's an Omni-Mech, it's fairly easy to mount the magazines in. You get a 20 rack of LRM and an ER large laser for more long-range fire support, while at closer range you get a pair of medium pulse laser and that chin-mounted ER small laser. There are a number of special configuration and variants built by their original users, and a lot of them have been seeing more common usage over the years. The first one I will talk about is the Prometheus configuration that was used by Victor Steiner Davion using a mech he got from Outreach. It is a brawler. The main gun on the left torso is an Ultra 20 class autocannon with 2 tons of reloads. That's not a whole lot, but it should be enough to end fights quickly. You can snipe a target using a pair of ER large laser, but you also get 3 large pulse lasers, giving you more mid-range firepower. To finish things off, you get a 6 tube of SRM in order to blow up tanks and exploit holes in the armor that your larger guns will have made. Dear old Natasha Kerensky also had a direwolf custom configuration, which a lot of people have started calling the Widowmaker. Each arm packs an ERPPC and a large pulse laser, giving you maximum energy weapon engagement at decent range. Once things get even closer, you get a 20 class Ultra autocannon, just like on that Prometheus, to scare people off. Once again, you only have 2 tons of ammo. It's a little bit limiting, but it should be enough. To round things off, you get a pair of ER medium laser and an ER small laser in the center line, along with 25 double heat sinks, which should allow you to stay in the fight for a decent amount of time.
This is my neighbor, Kurita Hohiro. He is pain in my assholes. I inherit successor state. He too must inherit successor state. I get gift direwolf mech with 3 clan large pulse laser, so too must he get direwolf with 3 clan large pulse lasers. I bang his sister Omiko. He cannot. Great success.
The Prince of the Draconess Combine, Hohiro Kurita, also add a custom direwolf variant, but this one people never went with a fancy name for, they just called it the Hohiro. More at ease with longer range engagement, the main gun are arm-mounted Gauss rifle and ERPPC, both capable of stripping about a ton of armor for each shot. At closer range, you get a DAT trio of a large pulse laser, while a Streak 6.2 of SRM allow you to take advantage of holes that you've made in the armor. You also get that emotional support ER small laser, which is always there for good measure. There are, of course, a ton of other configurations and other setups that people have used over the years, and even the Black Widow used a one with more LRMs in some other fights. The only other big clan Omni for quite some time was the Iron Cheetah, which was pretty nice until the Clan Wolf introduced the Tomahawk Mark I and Tomahawk Mark II, both of which fall in that same particular category. At that weight range, you could use quite a variety of configuration and setup, meaning all of those machines are viewed as very prized and very popular with commanders. The Direwolf might not be the most common machine out there nowadays. There was long stoppage in production, and it's not a machine that had been in production for very long before the big fights started. And many of the existing machines that you will meet are salvaged and repaired and rebuilt over and over. Thankfully, it is a very good mech and one that's fairly easy to work on, and you will probably enjoy working on them if you're a technician. So I thank you very much for listening to me for so long. I hope you guys have a very nice rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.